Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bat Dan's Discussions. So, John Bernthal is back. The Punisher is back. And just had to talk about this. And this is Marvel. So, we are going to bring on this guy.
Hey, guys.
Socks, how are you feeling, man? Like, he's back.
Hey, man, I'm loving every second. I am so ecstatic that John Bernthal is back as Punisher. I'm very happy about it. But we got to thank Mikey Sutton for this, man, because he broke this story a while back. So we already knew this, but hey, it's confirmation. Mikey was right. Mikey Sutton's never been wrong. I'm enjoying it. I see great things coming with Daredevil Born Again. It's going to be a hell of a ride next year, and I'm going to be right there along with it, watching all of it. So I'm ecstatic. I'm very happy for all this.
I am too, and I'm happy for Mikey Sutton. And since you brought up Mikey Sutton, let's do a little advertisement real quick.
Sounds good.
We're going to talk about Dreamwalker. It's it's a comic book series that Mikey Sutton wrote. The art done by Noel Flores. And we are both going to be characters in this comic book series. And guess what? Dreamwalker is getting a live-action TV series too. So, really great things to come with that. Go to Second Skins Comics. The link is in the description and the chat, so check it out. It's a really good story, and I'm just so happy for Mikey. What about you, Socks?
The respect and the love I have for Mikey Sutton is on a whole other level, man. I mean, he did something that we all wanted to be a part of and all wanted to do. And when he came to all of us and said, hey, by the way, I'm putting you all into this world of mine. Have fun. We were like, wait, what? How did we get involved in this? But like I've always said before, man, we're going to live forever. We will live forever in print. When people buy these issues later on, if they don't get it right away, get it right away while you can, because if you don't, you're missing out on something that's truly epic. Trust me, you are. But if you get into it as soon as you can, you won't be disappointed. You will not be disappointed. The story is solid, the art is solid, the characters are solid, and it's going to lead into other things that we can't talk about right now. You will all find out later on down the line that me and Bat Dan know about. But I guarantee you, when it comes out and it unfolds as the story progresses further and further, you're going to be glad you were a part of it.
Yeah, definitely. I'm just so thrilled that we're both going to be in this and really great things to come. I'm happy for you, Mikey Sutton, for this comic book turning into a series. And I'm happy that you got this Punisher scoop right. That you said back in 2019 it was. That John Bernthal is returning in the MCU. And guess what? It is confirmed that he will be in Daredevil Born Again. Which, I have to point something out. We know this is a reboot. But you know what's funny? On Netflix, Punisher debuted in a Daredevil series starring Charlie Cox. And on Disney Plus, guess what he's doing again?
Yeah,
debuting in a Daredevil series. So kind of funny how he comes back the same way he was introduced. Very poetic in a way.
I'm just ecstatic to see what the story is going to be. 18 episodes. That's like, 3 months worth of Punisher. 3 months worth of Daredevil stuff. It's a win-win, man. I mean, if you're a Daredevil fan, if you're a Punisher fan, if you're just want to watch something that's great content fan, give this a chance. And please don't listen to the haters saying that Punisher is going to be watered down. It's not going to happen. John Bernthal has demanded not to water down that character because he loves that character. He will not tolerate a watered down, soft Punisher. You can't do Punisher that way. I trust Marvel. I trust MCU. I trust everything about this. And when the haters find out how wrong they are, I'm going to laugh at them. Probably.
Yeah, same here. But because here's the thing, too, a lot of people are concerned because he was watered down a little bit in or not Punisher, Daredevil. They say he was watered down a little bit in She-Hulk, but people forget that Daredevil is not always the way he was portrayed in the Netflix series. He has his lighter tones too, and that yellow costume was from the comics.
Exactly.
And
That reflects it. That's a perfect reflection of who his character was at that point. Yes.
so
That's
it's our
that's
Punisher.
smart writing. That is brilliant writing.
Yeah, and I had my own issues with the She-Hulk series, but the one thing they got right was Daredevil, and just the start of the I will say this right now, just the Netflix stuff with Marvel was probably my favorite aspect of all of Marvel, particularly Daredevil and Punisher. That is just some of the best television that Marvel has done, in my opinion. What about you?
Well, the Netflix shows definitely Daredevil, Punisher. Those were my two favorite shows. I can't tell you which show I actually like more at times. I love Daredevil show and I love Punisher. And then of course there's, like I said, Jessica Jones. I thought that was a really good show, but it had its issues. But Daredevil and Punisher, if I had to think about it right now, I probably choose Daredevil because just a little bit more because of everything was solid with that Punisher. With season two, I noticed there was one situation with Punisher that kind of like made me look at like, what is the main story here? Is it the Russo story, or is it that other story going on with the slavers? Because that was the problem with Punisher season two. You didn't know which was the main story because it kind of like kept bouncing back and they didn't interact with one another, right? And it
Yeah.
kind of threw me off a little bit because I loved it, but again, you need to have a main story and then maybe a side story that can come up along the way and then go into season three or whatever you want to do with it. They didn't do that with season two, so it was kind of confusing. Like 1 minute he's dealing with Russo, and this minute he's going to be dealing with the slavers. Pick one and focus on that first, and then do something else later on during the season or down the line.
Well, to be fair, Daredevil season 2 had that same issue with the Punisher storyline, and then
Yeah,
with the whole Hand storyline. So,
right.
I mean, I
Yeah.
know Punisher kind of saved Daredevil at the end of
See,
season
yeah,
2, but that was like the only. But other than that, there was really no intersection between those two stories.
right. Yeah.
So that's the only thing I will kind of say a little bit. But other than, I only give Daredevil the edge over Punisher because of Vincent D'Onofrio, because it had a better villain.
That
So, I
last
mean,
that last episode of season three with that fight scene when you see Daredevil and Kingpin when they're about ready to go at it again. And they haven't seen each other since the whole season. That build up. Because they built up that whole season. Daredevil walks up, he sees him, and Kingpin just tells Vanessa, go. And that rage comes out both of them, and that fight. That had to be one of the best Marvel fights I've ever seen on TV. My best friend says he chooses that fight over the final battle of Endgame because he loved that fight scene between Daredevil, Kingpin, and then Bullseye. That's a hell of a fight scene, man.
well, Daredevil just had really good fight choreography.
Yeah,
Like, it looked realistic, and it just was it's why I just love the Netflix stuff so much, is just how good some of that fighting really was. And, kind of the beginning of this was when they brought back Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, which was also scooped by Mikey Sutton, by the way.
yep.
Even though Vincent D'Onofrio himself tried to deny it to Mikey Sutton, tried to debunk geekosity, even though,
I wouldn't
just
trust
saying.
this. I swear, every
I
time Mikey says I wouldn't trust this in Vince's voice, I crack up laughing. I just fall out. I wouldn't trust this.
And, no shade towards Vincent D'Onofrio. He's an actor. He has to kind of pull a little bit of an Andrew Garfield. But, still, I mean, just how did you feel when let's start with Charlie Cox. How did you feel when you first saw Charlie Cox in No Way Home?
I enjoyed it, man. I really I was so happy to see that. Nothing against Jennifer Walters. We all knew that she was supposed to be in there because of the contracts that Marvel and Netflix had. They couldn't use the character for 2 years. And Mikey had talked about that long before it was going to happen. And depending on how you look at this, either way, when COVID shut down everything, they were able to finally use Charlie Cox as Daredevil. They said, well, the contract finally ran out. It's been 2 years. We got actually use this instead of She-Hulk. And that's basically what we all wanted. We would have accepted She-Hulk, but we, in the back of our minds, we would have been sitting there like, man, I wish it was Charlie Cox. We want Charlie Cox. That's what we want. Nothing against She-Hulk, but we want Charlie. That's what we wanted the most. And Feige gave us what we wanted. I'm still on Bad Dan.
Exactly. Feige listened to the fans, and when we saw Charlie Cox back on the big screen, it was a big moment for us, and it was just so thrilling that they were actually bringing back these aspects from Netflix that we liked. And again, I don't want to totally say thank you COVID, but it was definitely nice that that we at least did get this, because I mean, I'm pretty sure that it was reshoots that they even put him in. Like, I don't think they even were allowed to use Charlie Cox until the reshoots happened.
Well, there is I wouldn't doubt it. I know there's an extra scene with Charlie Cox, Daredevil, and Happy at a lawyer's meeting later on during
It's in the extended edition.
Right. Yeah, where they're talking about what's going on. And I saw the extended edition because I watched it the other day again. I mean, I love that movie, No Way Home. I think No Way Home is probably by far the best of the MCU Spider-Man films. Now, of the MCU, I'm not talking about Raimi, because the Raimi films are still my all-time favorite. I wasn't an Andrew Garfield Spider-Man fan, but I will say this: Andrew Garfield Spider-Man redeemed himself perfectly in my eyes in No Way Home. No argument.
Yeah, I would say he was really good in that movie. I think No Way Home is one of the greatest, some of the best out there. And just again, and the fact that they, with everything going on, that they managed to reintroduce Charlie Cox in the MCU. Like, this is the first time that we actually saw someone from Netflix in the MCU. And then right after, we got Kingpin back, Vincent D'Onofrio in Hawkeye.
And
how'd you feel about that?
They did his character exactly the way his character was in the Hawkeye comic. It's down to the Hawaiian shirt that he was wearing, man. Fans were sitting there like screaming, well, how the hell did Echo blind him like that? Again, that was in the comic. That actually happened. It really did happen in the comic.
Yeah, a lot of people had an issue with Vincent D'Onofrio's appearance in Hawkeye, but I'm going to have a hot take. I really didn't that much. Like, some people didn't like that, how Kate was able to beat him. I'm like, Kate didn't even really beat him. She had like one trick arrow that she barely got out of there alive. I mean, Kingpin was throwing her around like a rag doll. I don't know what... I mean, Kingpin has some superhuman light elements. So, like, because, when I first saw Kingpin, it was actually the Spider-Man animated series, and he was crushing Spider-Man.
Well, in the comics, Kingpin is a fully trained sumo wrestler. Okay? He's a sumo wrestler. He has fighting skills as a sumo wrestler. Now, people are going to laugh at this. Oh, what's a sumo wrestler? Yeah, you get into a situation with a sumo wrestler, you have a problem. Unless you know how to counter that. Because that's not fat on him. That's bulk. Okay? It looks like it's fat. It's not fat. It's bulk. So he can move.
Doesn't he like work out in a way in the comics? Doesn't Kingpin work out in like a special way to make it look like it's fat, but it's actually muscle just to throw people off?
Yes.
I mean, really, just seeing them back again was just so great. And even She-Hulk. I had my issues with She-Hulk, mind you, but I love Charlie Cox in that series. And again, Mark Waid has written him to be a little bit more lighthearted. That's, again, in the comics. They listen. There are actual comic elements of that lighter tone with Daredevil, and they did it really well with She-Hulk there. I mean, out of the many issues I have with She-Hulk, Daredevil is one thing I thought they did perfectly.
I thought so. I mean, everybody wants all the time to be Frank Miller's Daredevil. Okay, I like Frank Miller's Daredevil. I also like Stan Lee's Daredevil. I also like Mark Waid's Daredevil. I also like other people that wrote Daredevil, like Chip Zdarsky wrote Daredevil. People that have written Daredevil, it's not all Frank Miller, But everyone wants to go back to Frank Miller. Well, there's other different writers that came forward that actually wrote Daredevil just as good.
Yeah, exactly. Different versions of them. And I kind of wanted to bring this up a little bit too, because a lot of people are concerned that Punisher is going to get watered down because of the way that Daredevil and Kingpin were watered down. I'm putting in air quotes in Disney Plus. But the thing is, they weren't. Those are just different iterations they were using. Punisher is always this dark character. And John Bernthal will not return, has said that he does not want to return for a watered-down Punisher, that he has demands, and Feige respects the talent. So we're going to get...
Feige gives you what you want. Feige gives fans what they want. And you can say what you want about the MCU for whatever reason. Feige gives you what you want. I mean...
Yeah. Unlike some other studios that we won't get too far into on this video, but the point is that fans wanted Daredevil. They wanted Charlie Cox's Daredevil, John Bernthal's Punisher, Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, and Feige said, no problem, here you go. And just the fact that, like, John Bernthal is returning, I mean, I would say he's probably one of the darkest characters that has been introduced in the MCU right now at this point. Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely. I would definitely go along with that because, again, if you got a character that's established a certain way in print and you're able to translate that into a show and keep that same tone, if you're lucky enough, why would you change that?
Yeah.
And I think it'll be all right. I have faith in what's coming. I really do. I have a lot of faith in what's coming with Daredevil because we don't even know what's all going to be in that. And I don't want to know everything. I want to be surprised. But I'm glad to know Punisher will be back. And he's going to have a major role in that show. And that's going to be something that's going to lead further down the line what's coming for him that we all know about.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of excited to kind of really see Punisher kind of be part of the larger Marvel universe this time. Because, like, in Netflix, he was just, I mean, yeah, he had some crossover with Daredevil, and you had that one, I can't even think of the name, who's that mobster who from Daredevil, he first appeared in Daredevil, but Turk, that's who I'm thinking of. Turk, he had like that little mob character who appeared in all the shows, but in general, you didn't really have him kind of interact with the larger Marvel universe. I'm really kind of excited to see Punisher potentially team up with Spider-Man, meeting up with the Avengers, Nick Fury. I mean, there's so many different possibilities here that I'm really excited for. And just starting with this Daredevil Born Again series, I think we have a lot of great stuff coming that he's going to help. I mean, I'm going to say based on that, he's probably going to help Daredevil take down Kingpin. And I think it's just really exciting. The possibilities are endless.
I think when Punisher shows up, a lot of the good MCU characters that are around now are going to see this guy like, whoa, this guy's on a whole other level. He don't care. He's not trying to send him to jail. He's trying to put him in the ground. That's just how he is. I love it because Punisher is definitely grounded. And I hate to use that term. I don't use that term too much about characters or superheroes and so on. I've actually Marvel was grounded. No. Captain Marvel. Punisher is grounded. But I'm looking forward to this. I just wonder what other characters are going to show up in Born Again besides Punisher. because I have a feeling it's gonna be a lot more than just.
Well, I'm thinking Echo will probably be in the series. I'm hoping Elektra will show up at some point. Maybe Jessica Jones, played by Kristen Ritter. That's her name.
Yeah, yeah. I think she's gonna come back because she played that character wonderfully. I loved her as Jessica Jones. I really did. I would like to see Michael Coulter come back as Luke Cage. I really would. I actually liked him. If you're gonna sit there and ask me about Finn Jones, it's subject.
I don't know. I think Finn Jones could do a good job if he had a good director and maybe tries to actually learn some martial arts. Maybe
That was the
I
issue.
I
Yeah.
I think Finn Jones does have potential to be good, but if he's not, but he has to put in the work for it. That's where I stand. See,
that I agree.
That's kind of why I like that they're rebooting, though, is because here's the thing. As much as I love Daredevil and Punisher, if you make that canon to the MCU, you have to make everything from those series canon to the MCU. So that means you have to make Iron Fist canon. That means you have to make Luke Cage canon. That means you have to make Jessica Jones canon. And what I really like about this reboot is that they can really do their own thing a lot more. They can just kind of reintroduce their own version of some of the stuff from the Netflix series that worked, and then they can kind of change up some things and that did not work so much. Maybe get a new Iron Fist actor. Maybe bring back Kingpin's sidekick from Netflix, the Wesley guy. I mean, I hope he comes back in Daredevil Born Again. Like, he was like probably one of the most underrated characters from that Daredevil series.
I like to see the comeback of Misty Knight and what's her name? It was Iron Fist's girlfriend.
Colleen.
Colleen, yeah, the Knights of the Daughters of the Dragon. I would love to see them two come back because I thought they had a great chemistry between them two. And Colleen, that actress took to that fighting style really well. And I just thought, man, I'd like to see them come back as have their own thing going on. Same thing with Heroes for Hire. Instead of doing a Luke Cage show, like Luke Cage and Iron Fist have Heroes for Hire. Put them together, put all four together if you want to.
Yeah, exactly. There's so many different possibilities with what they can do, but I'm just curious. So, like, what's your opinion? Do you think it's better that they're rebooting with some of these same actors, or would you rather that they just say that the Netflix stuff is canon to the MCU?
See, that's tricky because I'm glad to see Cots back and John back and it'll probably be Kristen Ritter back. I want them guys back for sure. I'm glad we're getting that. But the side characters like who's ever gonna play Karen or who's ever gonna be playing Foggy, I kind of like those actors. I really did. I actually like those people that play those characters, and I know they're gonna probably end up recasting for those characters. And I don't hate it, but I don't even know if I can. Part of me wants to say that this is a reboot. Part of me wants to say it's not, for some fact that Marvel bought those Netflix shows. They put them on Disney Plus, so they can actually sit there and say, "Hey, this is part 4 or Daredevil or season 3 of Punisher later on down the line," instead of the reboot. But I know they're not going to do that. So that's just my own way of kind of like hoping they would be doing it, but kind of not like doing it. But I don't know. I guess maybe I'm kind of like stuck in that one spot where I want them to be. I just want it to be successful. That's what I'm saying. I want to be successful, and if it's a soft reboot, whatever that means, then so be it. As long as the writing is good and the acting is good. I mean, we've dealt with this before when they recasted Rhodey for Iron Man 2, or they recasted for the Hulk. So if we got used to that, we can get used to this. We still got to try.
I don't know. I hate recasting, and it's like I prefer as little recasting as possible. I know what's done is done in the past, but I'd rather, if they're going to recast a lot of characters, there's a certain point where it's like I do think it's better to just reboot, because then you do have that freedom. Because one actress who I was hoping was going to be brought back that wasn't was the actress who plays Vanessa in Daredevil. I really liked her chemistry with Wilson Fisk, with Vincent D'Onofrio, and they recast her. That just came out. When did that come out?
Yesterday, right? It was just in the Hollywood
Yeah, it
Report.
was. Yeah, that was pretty recent that they cast a new actress for Vanessa. So, I mean, they definitely are. I definitely think they are rebooting, especially with Daredevil now having a yellow costume. It's like, and someone else designing the suit.
You know, he's gonna have different costumes other than that. You know, but we already knew that.
But like the yellow is supposed to be the beginning of his of his story. So if you're seeing it now, it has to be his new beginning, his reboot.
But at least now we're gonna see Bullseye, the real Bullseye, show up. I like the guy that played Bullseye in season 3 of Daredevil. I thought that was a great incarnation of Bullseye there. You know?
Yeah, I like that character. I like the Bullseye, and we'll see if they stick with him or they recast. But this is kind of like mostly a Punisher video, so I guess are there other elements from other characters from the actors, I'll say, from the Punisher series that you're hoping to see back in the MCU?
I want to see Micro back. I really do. I actually like Micro, and
yeah,
I know Micro. You don't like Micro?
No, I said I thought Micro was a really good character, and I was disappointed that he wasn't in season 2.
Yeah, they just totally wrote him right off, man. It's like you didn't even. It's like, where did he go? I can't remember if he became an agent or something.
They didn't mention him at all.
Yeah.
Like, he just wasn't even mentioned.
Like, that was a mess up. But after the Defenders show hit, if you notice, after the Defenders series hit, nobody mentioned about joining together to take down, that whole situation when that building fell down on top of Daredevil. It's like no one talked about it in the other shows. You didn't hear Luke Cage talk about it here. Jessica talked about it. Daredevil kind of talked about it. Like, you had a whole building fall on you. No one's bringing this up.
Marvel Universe, a lot of buildings get destroyed. One building is nothing new. But yeah, well, back then those series were considered part of the MCU. They were kind of exiled from canon, but at the time those series were made, they were considered part of the MCU.
So I look at
like the incident was like the Loki invading New York. That's what it was supposed to be. But that's one thing I like about what they're doing right now, though, with Disney Plus, is that my thing is that be connected or don't be connected, but don't do a half connection. I want it either all in or all out. And that's one thing I'm really excited with this new Punisher series, is that if they're going to say it's connected, they can really like connect this. I'm going to assume there's going to be a Punisher series. I know that's not officially confirmed yet, but let's be honest, there's going to be a Punisher series. And I'm really excited to like really see it connect. Maybe he can get on S.H.I.E.L.D.'s radar. Maybe he can get on
Fury.
Yeah, Fury. I don't know. Like, are you looking forward to that?
Oh, definitely. Anything that has Daredevil, Punisher, I'll definitely watch for sure. I've watched all the MCU shows. I've seen every single one of them. Some I like a little bit more than others, but I'll definitely be watching it because I want to see Punisher have his own show again. I really do. And I want to be able to sit back and say, yeah, you haters that kept saying that Punisher is going to be watered down, go somewhere else because you didn't know what you were talking about. Tired of this watered down crap.
I do understand the concern because Disney. There has been some lighthearted stuff with Marvel, so I'm not going to get mad that people are concerned because we've had She-Hulk, we've had Thor: Love and Thunder, we've had Ragnarok was another one, even Civil War, which was supposed to be a serious comic, even that turned comedic. So I understand that there are concerns people have, and to be honest with you, if it wasn't for Mikey Sutton reassuring us that John Bernthal had demands, I'll be honest, I would have those same concerns too, because they have shown, Marvel has shown to kind of really make a lot of things comedic, and that's why I'm really excited for Punisher really being in the MCU, is that it gives like the MCU a chance to kind of do some of these darker stories that we don't see, and they slowly have been getting darker. So
I get it. You're right. An MCU fan can defend Love and Thunder. But I noticed something about Love and Thunder most people didn't know. If you take out all the jokes on Love and Thunder, it's actually a good story. It's too many jokes in that movie. The jokes what killed that whole movie. One joke after another joke, another joke after another. It just ruined it. I was not an Eternals fan. I didn't care for the Eternals, but I didn't like the setup of that. Riding the Rock, I actually liked it. I know some people that hated it, and I understand it. I'm not telling anyone what to like or dislike. So I didn't like Captain Marvel's movie. I hate that movie. I hate that Captain Marvel movie. I can't stand that Captain Marvel movie. I would rather watch Eternals again before I watch that Captain Marvel movie. I have my issues with that.
Nick Fury, for example.
Oh God, it's just the way that they set up the story with it. And I'm not trying to go into the whole situation, but yeah, it's not what I. If I sit here and talk about Captain Marvel, the way I think it is and the way that they did it, a lot of people either like agree with me or like, oh man, yellow like clouds. So.
No, that just was not how they handled that. But another character who I hope they bring back from from the Punisher series, I really hope they bring back Punisher's war buddy. I forgot his name. He was hosting that meet, like that veterans meetup, or the trauma group. That guy.
Yeah.
I forgot his name, but I really liked his character, and I really hope they bring him back with that same actor.
That would, yeah, you're right. I forgot his name too myself. Lord Almighty, I'm getting old my ways. Yeah, you're right. That was a good character, and he did help Frank out several times, man. Yeah.
That's my only concern with some of these Marvel shows that are getting rebooted, is that because it's not just the main cast. It's like, especially like Daredevil season 1 is the perfect example of this. It's like it's all the little aspects. It's all these other actors who helped make the series too. In addition to Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, the guy who played Foggy, Karen, the actor who played Stick, and I mentioned earlier Wesley, that like Kingpin's right-hand man, basically. I mean, that actor, my God.
Yeah,
I mean, that's like a perfect.
Or the guy that played the father in that church.
Oh yeah. There's, and then in Punisher, in addition to that, the actress who played that FBI agent. My God, I'm so bad at these names, but she was another really great character. And I just, and that was another really good actress. I would love to see return as well. Micro, I would love to see him back too. I mean, there's so many, and that's one thing is like, because if they do a lot of recasting, one thing they're going to have to really do is pick good supporting actors, because you need a good lead, and the lead matters, make no mistake, but you need really good supporting characters too. So I'm really hoping that, and even though it's a reboot, I think one thing I worry about is that actors have chemistry. There's chemistry between actors. So, now you have to really find like actors who can work well with John Bernthal, who can work well with Charlie Cox, who can work well with Vincent D'Onofrio. If you're gonna like this new Vanessa actress, we have to hope that she can have really good chemistry with Vincent D'Onofrio.
That is definitely a key in shows or movies, because if the main actor doesn't have chemistry with a supporting actor, they can throw the whole film right off. That's a fact.
So that is one concern I do have, since, again, it does seem like they are rebooting and they are not going to bring everyone back. Because here's the other thing. If they're going to reboot, in my opinion, you have to do as much recasting as possible, or else people are going to think it is the same continuity. Like, if you want to, because like one thing I'm going to say this, if you're going to make it a different continuity, make sure it's obvious that it's a different continuity. And I think you do that by changing a lot of the supporting characters. So it's a double-edged sword, basically, is what I feel like they're kind of in right now.
We're going to find out sometime this year when that show hits, when Born Again comes out, if it's just as great as the Netflix shows were, or if it's just black. I don't think it'll be black, because they hired a new director for Born Again, the guy that did the Dexter series. I can't think of his name right now. It was an Iowa reporter yesterday. And this guy is supposed to be right up there because he did Dexter. I never watched Dexter, so I can't give you an idea of what I'm talking
Neither
about.
did
All
I.
I know is that, so, there's certain shows I just never got a chance to watch. But apparently he was one of the main directors of Dexter, and he's going to be helming the new Born Again show. If Marvel, the MCU, is willing to dish out for this guy, and he's supposed to be a solid director, I'm going to give it a chance. I was happy with Steven DeKnight when he did Daredevil, when he was working on the Daredevil show. I thought he did a great job. But, hey, we're going to find out real fast how it's going to be next year. And you know what? I'm all for it.
Yeah, same here. And it's just because I think this is going to be the first impression of this reboot is the Daredevil Born Again series, because there's a difference between seeing Daredevil in She-Hulk and Daredevil in his own series. Like, you can't compare the two. Those two are not the same. I mean, She-Hulk, again, I have a lot of shade I throw at She-Hulk, let's just say.
I understand.
So I don't want to totally give my impressions of Daredevil, but here's the thing, too. Despite how comedic She-Hulk was, Matt Murdock still ended up being kind of like the straight man in it, like in all this crazy world. Like, he was like kind of like the sane person in this kind of more cartoonish type of setting.
I get it.
So I mean, that's another good thing to point out too. So even with She-Hulk, even though that was a lot more comedic, they're still managed to make Daredevil serious. So I mean, that's another good thing to point out too. I'm just saying.
And you're absolutely right to say that, because I feel the same way, because I have my issues with She-Hulk. I'm not going to sit here and say that it was the best MCU show that I saw. I'm not going to do that. But I did like episode 1 of that, and I liked the Daredevil episodes. I thought they were really good. I liked the season finale of She-Hulk. I thought that was really written well, a lot. Especially when she would break the fourth wall.
Oh, yeah, I was not a huge fan of that. I mean, I don't mind minor fourth wall breaking. I guess put it like this. My thing with fourth wall breaking, I'm not a big fan of it when it becomes a plot point, especially in the larger MCU universe, because the problem is that I now look at the entire MCU differently now. That's why I didn't like. It's like even like Black Panther. I'm just like, oh, but in this universe, it's a show. Like obviously it's a show, but like when I watch something, I like to think about it like in like this is real, sort of. Like you know what I mean? Like I know it's not real, but like I like to think about like to them like this is like a universe. But when you do that big of a fourth wall break, it just kind of takes me out of it. So I don't know. I mean, that is one thing I am concerned about. But even in that same episode, Matt Murdock managed to still be a mostly serious character. So I really do think that. Yeah. So I think I'm not really too concerned. I mean, I have my concerns, but there's also some points leading out that this could be something really great. And I'm just, that we don't really know as much yet, but we do know, but the fact that Jon Bernthal's returning, it shows this is why MCU is successful, because MCU, they listen to their fans, they listen to their paying customers. And the thing is, fans are getting what they want. Like everyone wanted Jon Bernthal back as Punisher, and now we're getting that back. So I think this is just, I mean, and we should be happy for that. I mean, if I watch Daredevil Born Again and it turns out to be this comedic mess, that Disney-fied comedic mess, if I see Punisher is making quips, we'll judge it then. But as of right now, I'm just happy to see Punisher back. I mean, Jon Bernthal back as Punisher. And even though it is a reboot right now, we're still seeing it's still the same actors. And again, I think with this being connected to the larger universe, we can really see Punisher interact with all these people. Could interact with Daredevil, could interact with Spider-Man. And I mean, also too, good point, Deadpool is also rated R too. I mean, and that's Marvel's doing that, and that's not a problem with them. So they can do rated R content now. And the only thing, though, I do think people need to kind of realize that if Punisher does appear in something like Spider-Man or Captain America 4, he's going to be PG-13 in those movies because it's not his own movie. It's not his own series. So that's just something to keep in mind.
But that's what Mikey had touched upon a while back. Remember, Mikey had said that if Daredevil, hypothetically speaking, was to appear in an Avengers film or a Spider-Man movie, they're gonna have to lower him down just a little bit. He can't say the F-bomb or whatever too many times. And it's funny. You can still have solid, you can still have solid storytelling without having to swear every other word. We both know it can be done. I'm fine with that, as long as I don't see something that's going to take him out of character completely 100% all the time. I'm fine with that. So I have no issue with that.
Exactly, and the important thing is that they act like they're characters. I mean, really, if they're a supporting character, it doesn't need to be rated R. I mean, the first time, when I first saw Punisher was in the Spider-Man cartoon. And he was really, Punisher was really watered down in that series because it was a kid's show. Sure. But even from that, I could still tell that he was a dark character in the comics. They gave enough that I could kind of tell, okay, yeah, I bet he's a very violent character from the comics.
No doubt, man. I grew up watching that cartoon, but I go far back as watching the reruns of the 1966 Spider-Man cartoon series when I was a kid. When I was born in 1972, and they put the reruns of the original 66 cartoon back in the 70s. I remember waking up Saturday morning to watch Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends. So I'm an OG when it comes to this stuff.
Yeah. But so you know all of this stuff. And and that's why if you trust it, and here's what I like about you is that you're willing to criticize the MCU when they do something not great. So,
and I will.
But the fact is, Kevin Feige has a lot of issues, but he knows what the fans want, and fans want a darker Punisher. He knows that. That's one thing he will do. And so overall, I'm just going to kind of say I'm really excited. I think this is really great news. I think just the possibilities of him interacting with these other Marvel characters, they could do a lot of, I have a question. I guess who's one character from the MCU? So we won't say anyone from Defenders, but someone from the MCU. Who's one character that you really want to see Punisher interact with? If you could pick one, just.
Deadpool.
Yeah, I would like to. That would be a really interesting one because Deadpool is a lot more comedic and Punisher is a lot more serious. That would really be interesting to see how they do that one.
The reason why I say Deadpool is because you're a little bit more extreme there and a little bit more darker in some ways. And just like I see Punisher shoot Deadpool right in the head. Because it won't kill Deadpool. It just won't kill him, but it's just bang!
Oh, Punisher would get so frustrated with that.
Right. I can sit here and say Spider-Man because I think that'd be pretty good, or Wolverine, or Captain America. And that'd be
Deadpool.
Great.
That's a good one. It's a good.
But Deadpool.
I was going to say.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say Captain America just to see that different moral dynamic of the two. But
that's a different form of writing because now you got to deal with a guy that's sees America one way and what he believes in from the World War II generation compared to another guy who's been in a different type of war and sees it from his generation. Not saying either way is right or wrong, just different. Again, it's that moral debate. Should I go this far or should I not go this far? It's on a different type of debate than what Frank and Matt went through on Daredevil season 2, but it's still a debate. And because if you ever I read Civil War, where Captain America told Moon Knight, you belong in an insane asylum, and Frank Castle belongs in a penitentiary. Because he couldn't accept that this guy is killing people. But Punisher has so much respect for Captain America, he wouldn't fight him, according to that writer. Depending on how you look at the writing situation. But that's a whole other thing to talk about later on.
Yeah, well, it all depends on the writer, and I think that's.
Right.
But yeah, I think Captain America would be, even if it's, I guess in this case it would have to be Sam's Captain America, since he's the one, since Steve Rogers is either dead or old, retired, and presumed dead to the public. One of those two. But either way, that would still be an interesting. It would still be an interesting story. I also want to see Nick Fury. I really want to see Shield kind of going after Punisher.
Oh, that'd be good. That I like to see. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Assuming that Nick Fury can get some form of Shield back together after Hydra. But
at the same time, I think when Nick Fury wanted to have Punisher on his side, to use him as a soldier to go fight somebody else in a foreign land.
Well, he would still have to get him, capture him, and recruit him. Yeah. Oh, here's one fight I would love to see. I would love to see Quake meet Punisher. I would love to see that interaction, or see Punisher shoot a bolt, or just Quake just kind of use her powers and just knock Punisher down, and Punisher, like, that fight I would just love to see.
Quake, that would be a good fight until Punisher gets his hands on her, because Quake, she relies on her abilities a lot more than Punisher does with his weapons. So if Punisher gets his hands on her, that's it. She has to keep him at bay as best as she can, because if he gets close, she's done. So he better start shooting, and she better start dodging and using her abilities, because once he gets close to her, that's it for her. And unless she's got some sort of serious martial arts training to back herself up, because Frank can fight.
Oh yeah, we know that. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., I don't feel like they kind of just had her learn her fighting. They kind of had learned. I can't even talk. They had Daisy learn her fighting off screen mostly. It seemed like she couldn't fight at first. Then she's training with Ward a little bit, and then she can kind of fight. Then she's training with May, and then slowly she's just like, oh, she's good now. So
yeah,
I don't know. That'd be another interesting fight, and they would have to reintroduce Chloe Bennett, since I'm pretty sure Shield has also Agents of Shield has also been exiled from MCU canon. So, but still, I think that's another possibility. There's just so many possibilities they can do with Punisher now that he's in this larger sandbox to play in. There's so much that they can do, and I'm just really excited. I think I know there's some concerns, but overall, this is a really great thing for Marvel fans. And again, Marvel fans being treated right. So again, lots of great stuff. I guess, do you have any final thoughts on this?
The one thing I would like to see, and it'd be a long shot, even though they're in the same sandbox as you said, is to see Punisher and Moon Knight. I would love to see Punisher and Moon Knight together. Imagine what Frank would do. That would be amazing.
Well, it'd be kind of a moral constraint for Frank too, because if Moon Knight's doing some bad things, it's like, does he want to kill him though? Because there's an innocent person trapped in there. So,
right.
That would be another interesting dynamic. But there's just so much they can do with this.
Exactly. Because the writing, it's got to come down to the writing. Can you write these characters to interact with each other and have that chemistry?
And that's why Daredevil Born Again will have to be good, because this will be our first impression of this reboot. This truly will be like a Punisher of Daredevil, of Fisk. Of really seeing all that interaction. I think there's a lot of great stuff coming up, and I'm really excited. I think I'll be honest, I was disappointed in Phase 4, but I think Phase 5 has some really cool stuff coming up, and I think overall, it's some really great stuff, and I'm really excited. So, I guess, do you have anything coming up on your channel?
No. No.
Well, you gotta get. Well, that's just part of it. You just kind of got to get into it. You gotta. Yeah. I'm kind of getting back into it. I took a bit of a 2-week hiatus. I'm kind of slowly getting back. I'm going to try to do a review on the 65 movie. That dinosaur movie that came out. I'm going to try to get a review in this weekend. And also, don't forget, not this weekend, but next weekend is trending day for Sells the SJL to Netflix, Sells Snyderverse to Netflix. Marvel fans are eating well. DC fans are not. So we have to hashtag campaign, shout out to Skywalker the Jedi, but we have to be there for trending a day. Hashtag sells the SGL to Netflix, hashtag sells Snyderverse to Netflix.
Yeah.
That is coming up. I will be doing some stuff for that. I may even starting a new show for trending event if I can get this person on. We'll see. But be on the lookout for that. So I have some stuff coming up on my channel. But, again, as I said, I'm really excited for what's happening with Punisher right now. Jon Bernthal's back. Just really great Punisher. And anything else you have left to say?
I'm definitely looking forward to what's coming from our dear good friend, Mikey Sutton with Dreamwalker number 3 and so on. That I'm looking forward to. I'm really beautiful issues. People, I'm telling you right now, get on board while you can. You will not be disappointed whatsoever. That is the series to read. And once you're involved, you won't want to get away from it. It is going to be a game changer in so many ways.
Yeah, trust me. It's big things are happening, stuff we can't share. Buy Dreamwalker. Be excited for Jon Bernthal's return. So many great stuff happening. So much we have to be excited for. And, if you like this video, please like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss another episode. And lastly, have a bat-tastic day.